lane, he's not worried, but when it comes to the gank setup, I think he definitely is. Now, he also has a jungler in Gwen that will just look to farm mostly and is not going to be able to just hover lanes all that much and participate in the 2v2 fights. And Smolder, given that he's basically allowed to scale forever and ever thanks to his kit, like, he does like the resolve tree for that reason. Like, any kind of survivability that you can provide for yourself with the runes might just pay off in the long run. Like, you are guaranteed to scale into a strong carry if you're given enough time, so why not just go for resolve and grasp? Even if it did receive nerfs most recently, I think it's still a fine choice. He's gonna start with Tear of the Goddess, though. Now, I know that Malzahar is not exactly a lane bully, but maybe it'll be fine. Nothing exciting happening level 1, but that was to be expected. I think both teams are... I mean, Tahm Kench can be pretty threatening level 1, but that, I think, is the only real problematic champion. Don't expect much to happen in the very early stages of the game. I think we will really see the whole map start to, like, fights start exploding when champions actually hit level 6, especially for Astral Infection. I feel like that is where we'll see the highest amount of activity. Casante's level 6 spike is still very much a problem for any top lane champion that goes against him. Looks like Tenshi and Howlister will be able to secure a level 2 priority here. Which, for both sides, I think this was to be expected. Senna not able to exert as much pressure with a Tahm Kench beside her in the early stages of the game. Big trading happening top with both top lane champions proccing Grasp, but Spore seems to be pulling ahead in those early trades. Ezzy taking a lot of punishment. Just one more auto potentially, but the heal has to be used from Clefairy, and Ezzy already put so far down when it comes to his health bar, and we already see a potential dive coming in for Astral Infection. The knockup is good, though, from Blaziken, so it will be a trade of kills. Perhaps if Spore decided to wait for a little second longer, I guess we don't have time to talk about what happened top lane because we have a kill in the 2v2 down in bot. Iverngers Civil War getting kills both top and bot. But I think Misfortune just having this much of a lead could be what ICW need to show up in the mid game in a big way. Hawksbill went for that dive top, but it is at the cost of his early clear. He did pick up that kill. He did kill the Cho'Gath, so it does, you know, it is a payment for his efforts. You're already going to see the TP expended for February 14th on the Malzahar. When you consider the top lane matchup, I think Cho'Gath is one of those champions that can actually handle the K'Sante somewhat fine. But now Spore with a level advantage, she is more than capable of trading back versus the Cho'Gath. Blaziken has to be careful here. He did just pop level 5. He wants to find something back. Now there's a 2v2 down in mid, but I don't think Iverngers Civil War have what it takes to win the 2v2, or maybe they do! Gulongulate just needs that one extra auto, and it will be a trade of kills. Gwen takes that one. Rek'Sai takes a kill on the other side. I didn't expect this much fighting down in mid before level 6. Gulongulate actually decided to show up mid, and it did result in a kill for him. So that extra bit of acceleration for the Gwen. Killer Vanilla actually making his way down mid, but he will be spotted by Hawksbill on the Rek'Sai. There's a 2-level advantage right here, so Hawksbill will just have to retreat. Especially with Blaziken having first move from top. So far, so good for Iverngers Civil War. But soon we will hit breakpoints that are really scary if you're on blue team. Like, level 6 is the one breakpoint we really have to worry about. But now we're going to see a potential fight for Grubs happen right here as Hawksbill gets into a fight, but he's taking damage from 3 ICW members, and February 14th decides not to press R because he knew he would be in a compromised spot. And now he has to run away. But there's just no damage to fight back, and Iverngers Civil War just get 2 kills. I don't think they were on the same page when it comes to that skirmish, and Iverngers Civil War, they will take all 3 grubs for themselves. But again, we've seen this happen before. This is not the first time Iverngers Civil War have a decent early game. If they were able to close out games when they take these advantages in the early game and then expand upon them, they would not be sitting at 1-11 in the standings. So we have to see some kind of improvements there in the mid game on just how they play the map and what fights they choose to take in the mid game. If they want to surprise everyone, this is what they have to do. I imagine Astral Infection are not fazed by what happened. Hawksbill looking to steal some camps away while we're still watching both top laners duke it out. Hawksbill potentially getting himself in trouble once again, but Gulongulate dashes in, but he's like lands straight into the arms of a Malzahar, and Never Grasp is there ready and waiting. And in those 2v2 situations, Iverngers Civil War just don't have what it takes. And now, Spore getting himself into a fight. There's a 2v2 fight down to the bot lane as well. Who's going to fall first? Howitzer trying his damnedest to get back into the tower, but he will not make it. On the other side, Blaziken manages to stay alive, but he had to burn his flash. So AST, just like that, they just completely negate the gold lead. With what happened mid, top, and bot pretty much at the same time. Just goes to show you that it doesn't take much for an early game lead to basically just melt away if you make one misstep on the map. And now it's Astral Infection straight onto the dragon. Rek'Sai should be able to take that one. I don't think Galungulate should be even looking to contest this. The more time he spends not farming, that is just straight up detrimental for his team. He's still looking for some kind of steal, potentially. ICW, like the way they're posturing, I feel like they want to contest, but I don't know if this is the right call. They will look for it. Galungulate takes a Blast Cone. They will not have the smite. The Mom comes out from the Smolder, but it will not kill anyone. So they wanted to try and go for the steal at the objective, but they come out with pretty much nothing. And now we're seeing a situation where Hawksbill has pulled ahead compared to his lane opponent. Jungle opponent, I should say. We're not exactly playing lane. Okay, the nerd emoji Twitch chatter's already correcting me. That's fine. Smolder got 3 stacks. I guess I should have mentioned that. I'm sorry. I apologize. ICW should be able to get 6 grubs here. There's no response available for Astral Infection on the cross map. Spore is walking in. Okay, it looks like Astral Infection do want to fight for this. ICW, do they want to pull away or do they want this fight? I guess the answer is just to retreat, but they will have to sacrifice at least one member. Here comes the hostile takeover from the Renata, but the fight is already over. ICW should just be looking to run away as fast as possible if they don't want to lose more members, but the Void Rush from the Rek'Sai will deny that escape. And also, the Tahm Kench just solo killed the Misfortune. What happened here? I guess we'll never know. It's a mystery. Tenshi blew both of his summoners and still died. Astral Infection, with that play, they are now very much ahead in gold. And Hawksbill, we've seen this before countless times, in fact. Snowballing his way into the mid game in the jungle position. Rek'Sai, one of his signature picks, be able to make that happen. Spore, once again, in a big fight versus the Cho'Gath. Pops all out, but not enough damage to be able to kill him. Galungulate trying to get something back with the needles, but Blast Cone will take Clefairy away to safety. I mean, Iverngers Civil War, I mean, maybe they feel frustrated with what happened just now, but they can't really afford to take more of these haphazard fights. They have 5 grubs for themselves, and they need to make sure that they don't give away too much. Just so they can actually fight for dragons later into the game. They can probably afford to give up this next one if they feel like they can trade it for an extra resources on Smolder, for example. But now we see Hawksbill going for potential kill onto Blaziken. The Void Rush will dodge the knockup from the Cho'Gath, and that is kill number 6. The way this team is set up, Hawksbill is calling all the plays. And I guess he just decided Cho'Gath was an easy target. Now, what will Iverngers Civil War do when it comes to this dragon? Plates are already down, so there's no opportunity to get that extra gold. I mean, I guess they can just stick to the regular lane assignments, but will we see a fight from Iverngers Civil War for this dragon? I would advise them not to do it. At least when it comes to this third dragon, I mean second dragon, I feel like they are still not in a position where they can look to win fights easily. Tom Kench is in a very good position, but now they've just caught out Killer Vanilla, who still had his flash, doesn't use it before he gets caught with the Malzahar suppression, and that is just the easiest kill Astral Infection have secured this game. And it might even get more, as Hawksbill uses Void Rush to come in. Straight into the tower they go, and they still manage to get that kill. Really well played by the mid-jungle duo of Astral Infection, and they also secure the kill down bot lane. Renata also dies. So Astral Infection are just winning everywhere on the map before Dragon was even taken. And now we see Cassante in a 1v1. Was almost able to take down the Cho'Gath by himself, but the flash will deny that. So, just like that, Astral Infection are pulling way ahead. And we talked about Iverngers Civil War. Like, it would be beneficial for them to try and pump the brakes, but every time we see them fight, and it never really seems to end well for them at all. Ballin had a lead, it no longer has a lead. Smolder was doing fine, now he's potentially behind this Malzahar as well. I guess the top lane, you could argue, is still the one lane where ICW has an advantage. Now, Hawksbill in a 1v2 against mid and jungle. He will manage to survive before backup arrives, and he takes that kill onto the Gwen. The flash from Malzahar, they will just catch Cho'Gath into the CC chain, and there's no escape from that. The Renata ult will do absolutely nothing, as Ezzy is hungry for more. You just need one extra auto. He even uses W to get into the enemy base. But he's more than tanky enough. He will just waddle his way out of there. And there's nothing that ICW can do about that. Once again, it's Hawksbill showing his dominance in the jungle, leading his team to victory. And with every lane ahead, it shouldn't be very hard for AST to just push their lead. A Dawning Shadow will finish off Tenshi, and he was well out of position. Oh my goodness, Hawksbill just goes for more. Void Rush will dodge Tower Aggro for the time being, while Ezzy is tanking it. Really good teamwork for Astral Infection. Taking advantage of what their champions can offer. Ezzy feeling really comfortable on this Tahm Kench so far, really showing up this game. I think the bot lane of Astral Infection deserves praise, not just Ezzy, but also Clefairy having a great game. On the other side, it's definitely a game to forget for Gulungulate. I just find it quite disappointing that Iverngers Civil War are not exactly playing towards the win condition that was presented to them when this draft was finished. I feel like they are just choosing fights poorly, not respecting the early game potential of some of the champions on Astral Infection, not respecting enough. And now we're in a spot where Astral Infection just put blue team in a chokehold, and there is no way they can get out. Although Astral Infection may have just found themselves in a bad spot. Shutdown for the Gwen. Could be more. Blaziken will land the knockup. Just one more auto to finish it off. And ICW may have just found the fight that puts them back in contention. Astral Infection overextending for kills. And I think they should be happy they did not get punished harder for that. That's a 1 for 2 for Iverngers Civil War. I don't know if it changes the overall, just overall the look of this game, but it is a start. Every kind of fight like this that goes in Iverngers Civil War's favor buys them more time, but now we will still probably see Astral Infection just finish this dragon, and they will put themselves on Soul Point. Cloud Soul potentially up on the table in the next 5.5 to 6 minutes. Iverngers Civil War, they're posturing. They still trying to contest, but I guess they have Blaziken because he can just walk his way in there. But now Hawksbill trying to engage onto the Gwen, but he takes too much damage. Killer Vanilla uses his ability to fly to try and support his team, but now he doesn't have that E. Iverngers Civil War in a bit of an awkward spot. They have to try and walk their way back into the river or Spore onto the flank. They have to worry about him as well. A little bit caught in two minds here as Astral Infection are still hitting the dragon. It's falling down slowly. But Iverngers, they just have to decide what to do. Bullet time comes out. They will try to go for a steal. Cho'Gath comes in, but he gets outsmited by the Rek'Sai anyway. The Mom does a lot of damage, but Iverngers Civil War, they were just completely split on this fight. Astral Infection will now just catch people one by one. Actually, it's Hawksbill who overextends on the play. So at the end of it all, Astral Infection suffered 2 casualties, but they do put themselves at 3 dragons to 0. We're now trying to hit Ezzy, but this dude is way too tanky. Misfortune is just one of those 80 carries that doesn't have a very easy time dealing with health stacking opponents. So even if you do have that armor pen, it will still take a long time before Tahm Kench succumbs to all the damage. Still a bit of a tense game. I mean, Iverngers Civil War, not quite out of it just yet. But the team fights are definitely just not the cleanest from them. Now it's Astral Infection onto the Baron. They've decided to start it out. Malzahar still not hitting it. 80 carry not hitting it. Now they go for the turn onto Iverngers Civil War. Hostile takeover is decent, but Killer Vanilla dies first, and that is the most important information. Astral Infection just play out the front to back, while Glungulate is bot lane. Farming the wave. I mean, Astral Infection they just knew very well that this is a fight they were allowed to take for free. That's 4 kills to 0 now. This Baron once again being targeted, and there's just no way for Iverngers Civil War to do anything about it now. Because now, on top of all that, we're also losing objectives. Down mid lane, tier 2 tower should fall next. So that is even more gold going into the pockets of Astral Infection. 10,000 gold lead. It is not a kind of lead that can be wrested away easily. But now Clefairy, that extra auto attack, that extra bit of greed, resulted in having to burn Flash. Just a quick reminder to pick your battles carefully. But even with that Flash, Iverngers Civil War don't exactly have the easiest time to get onto the backline of the enemy team. And it's not like that matters very much when the front line on Astral Infection is just extremely strong. And the carries on Iverngers Civil War are just nowhere near strong enough to be able to melt them fast enough. Especially with Smolder, who's like the most important member of his team, I have to imagine. Right now he's at 219 stacks, so soon he will hit that execute threshold, but the map is pretty much wide open. Astral Infection are taking even more of his Baron buff. Yeah, now that Iverngers Civil War have to defend the siege is just really hard for them to try and intercept. As February 14th puts himself in tower range, but he might just be able to kill Tenshi with the burn. The shields will actually save him, and now February 14th will fall to Blaziken. And that's one lane relieved of pressure. That is the end of the Baron push for Astral Infection, but they are now moving straight to the Dragon. They are there exactly on time. And Iverngers Civil War are spread all across the map, not really able to contest with every single member, but they can still look for the steal. Blaziken doesn't have Feast. Gulungulate is still very low, however, and Astral Infection just decide to look for a turn. They kill off the jungler immediately. Bullet time will put Hawksbill quite low. But Dragon is about 1,000 HP left on that, but Astral Infection decides just screw that, they will go for the fight anyway. And the Cloud Soul finally taken. There's not much more for Iverngers Civil War to hold on to. Astral Infection, the final push is in their sights. They have a minion wave. They have a very strong front line that they can rely on. Nevergrass will soon be available for February 14th. So they can just look to lock down whoever they please. It's still a 4v5. Tenshi is now coming out of base. Hawksbill trying to go onto the Gwen once again. ICW have to try and play the front to back game. Blaziken cannot really afford to go too far forward. Astral Infection's team trying to peel. But I think they will be happy with just securing 2 inhibitors as he almost got caught by the handshake. That was so close to being a pick for Iverngers Civil War on the back of that retreat. Uh-oh. Lungulate wanted that Raptor camp, but he will be met with resistance. Hawksbill does not want him to have that. And Clefairy will take the kill. Lungulate really wanted to get more gold, but he instantly gets punished for it. And now, again, we're in a 4v5, maybe even a 3v5 very soon, as Blaziken has to respect Flash here. He would have just been caught in a CC chain that is very hard to get away from. Now, maybe A potential signal for Iverngers Civil War to fight as Hawksbill was focused on the top lane turret, but there was no time to try and make something happen. Hostile takeover basically ineffective, as now Iverngers Civil War well stuck in their own base. But Devour out of a Smolder, he has to flash away. Bullet time, not that great, but Smolder's still putting out damage. Kill number 1. They haven't exactly killed him yet, but now they finally focus him out. But Hawksbill actually dies to the tower. It looks like Iverngers Civil War will be able to make the base defense. February 14th, killed by the Misfortune. Glongulate still fighting against... Oh no, Misfortune dies to the bird on the backside of that. Glongulate falls to the combined forces of Senna and Tahm Kench. And it might not have been the cleanest teamfight to finish that off, but Astral Infection, they were just too far ahead. And they will take the win to start off day 2.